Welcome to Izzy's Big Interview, and let's call 999 as we chat to Dr. Xand from Operation Out. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Xand.
Hi, Izzy. It's very nice to speak to you.
First, how fun is it doing Operation Out?
Operation Ouch is the most fun thing I can possibly do. So it's really, really fun. I think sometimes when you're making teleprograms that are meant to look fun, they actually aren't as much fun as that in real life. It's just a lot of hard work. But Operation Ouch is really lovely to film. And we get to, I guess it's fun because it's quite nice hanging out with Chris, and we get on well, and the whole team is amazing. But also it's fun because I learn more making Operation Ouch than I do making any other telly show. You might think that if you're making a kid show, you don't need to know as much, but actually making kid shows is much more complicated than making shows for grown-ups, because kids want more information. Grown-ups basically turn off the telly if they don't understand, and children don't.
How creepy is it sometimes?
Well, do you mean like the grossness, like it's quite disgusting? Do you think we should make it more disgusting or less disgusting?
I'm not sure.
What? Do you think we're getting it about right? Is it going on at about the right level of grossness?
Yeah.
Do you like the gross bits?
A tiny bit.
It's strange, isn't it, when things are gross, because on the one hand you're like, oh, that's horrible, but also it kind of makes you laugh, and it's sort of exciting and you want to look at it. So we put the gross bits in really deliberately, because the more gross stuff you watch, the more you get used to things being gross. And gross stuff is good. It's good to be able to handle dealing with disgusting stuff, because if you have to help someone who's maybe they've injured themselves or they peed their pants, maybe something like that, the more you're good at dealing with gross stuff and you're kind of cool with things being a bit disgusting, the better. So if someone's fallen off their bike, they've grazed their knee, you don't want to arrive and be so grossed out by their grazed knee that you're sick all over them, because that would be a disaster. So in the end, what you want to do is just stay calm and be able to handle it. So we put the gross stuff in deliberately for you.
Do the mind-blowing activities shock you? Because they literally shocked me a lot.
They are called Mindbenders and mind-blowing for a reason. There are some that are really, really amazing to me. I think that one of the funniest ones to film was the one with the cakes, because we filmed the cakes with the, all the same size cakes, but if you put big cakes around them, they look small, and if you put small cakes around them, you look big, which is like, you'd sort of think, well, I understand the idea, but it can't really work. And the only people that got it right that day were the two police officers we met, and they were immediately like, no, it's the same size. You're having a laugh. We were like, oh, sorry.
Did you always want to be a doctor?
No, when I was little, I wanted to be the lead singer in a band, and then I wanted to be a pilot, and then I'm not very good at singing, and I actually did try and learn to fly a plane when I was at university, and I was very bad at that as well. So quite good that I ended up being a doctor. But no, probably about 13 or 14, I knew that I was interested in science and I was interested in people. It's nice to help people, but I'm also just quite nosy and like to find out about people. And being a doctor is a really good way of using science to help people. It's also a good way of finding out about people. So I thought it would be quite a good way of combining the two.
I'm also very interested in science because I won an award one day with science, and now I really like it.
I've never won an award for science. You're probably better at science than me. That's amazing.
I won Curriculum Talent Awards. I just got a certificate and a trophy, my first ever trophy in my life.
It's great to get the certificate and the trophy. What bit of science was it for?
I had literally no idea. I forgot. It was a very long time ago.
You know what? People say that all the time. The scientists who win the Nobel Prize, when you ask them, they're like, oh, I don't remember. That was ages ago. I don't remember that. It's good. That's the hallmark of a truly great scientist, is they can't remember what they got. So many awards, they don't remember what they're for.
What was your favorite?
I don't have any awards. Anyway,
what's your favorite thing to do as a doctor?
There are some things that are very satisfying and fun. So often people come in with an infected part of their body and you can just chop it out or squeeze it out. So if you've got a big infected thing called an abscess. You can make a cut and squeeze out all the goo inside, and that's quite exciting and quite fun. But really, and so those are quite nice doing those sort of things, and they do make people feel better. But I suppose the nicest thing is to help people do what they want to do. So quite often you can't cure somebody and make the problem go away, but you can try and go, all right, which bits of being ill are really causing you trouble, and how can we make those bits a bit easier to deal with? Does that make sense? It's sort of complicated to explain, but it's like what sometimes people come in and they're like, oh, I'm on 8 pills and I really hate taking 8 pills. And you're like, okay, well, we could combine some of them and remove some of them and things like that. Sort of simple things where but it's like, it's not just going, you're ill with this, so you take this drug. It's going, how can we help you live with the problem that probably isn't going to go away?
How did you go from doctor to TV star?
Well, I should have a funny answer for this, but I don't really. Chris and I learned to do medicine in sort of difficult environments to work in. So I worked a lot in deserts and in countries where there are wars and disasters. And Chris worked a lot in the Arctic. And he was filmed a lot in the Arctic because if you're doing stuff up at the North Pole, people always want to film you doing it because it's sort of exciting. And he met polar bears and all this stuff. And so he had a chat with the telly producer and said, I think you should make a telly program where me and my brother go and meet people who do medicine differently all over the world. The medicine's different in China, in India, in northern Russia, in the rainforests of South America, in sub-Saharan Africa. And so we went and looked at all these different people who do all these different kinds of medicine. And then we heard about, it wasn't called Operation Ouch. In fact, Operation Ouch, the original title 10 years ago, which, are you 10? How old are you?
7.
So before you were born, there was an idea at the BBC for a show called Microdocs. And Chris and I thought it would be fun to do something for kids. And so we went and auditioned. And in our audition, we wanted to show them there were all kinds of interesting things we could do on the telly. So Chris stuck a needle in me and took some blood out. And then we tried to put in a tube through my nose and get some fluid out of my stomach. But then we didn't get it out of my stomach because it made me be sick in the interview. And normally, I think in a job interview, if you vomit in a job interview, it's going badly, basically. Like that would normally be the thing. But the producers of what became Operation Ouch went, these two are complete wallies. They'll do anything to get on the telly, including making themselves sick. And so they said, all right, you can have the job. So then we worked on the show. So it's been very nice. We worked with a big team of people to come up with all the ideas and to try and sort of turned it into Operation Ouch, trying to figure out what our jobs were on the show and how it should all work.
Are you working with the COVID-19?
Not really. So I am not seeing patients in hospital at the moment. I've had COVID-19 and I've been in hospital several times with it. And in fact, Dr. Chris has been looking after me a bit with it. But Chris is on the wards looking after COVID-19 patients. And Chris is a virologist. So he has lots of colleagues who are involved in the response. Yeah, so I guess the work I'm doing is more sort of making telly programs about it, which is not the same as being a doctor, but at least it's useful to try and get people some more information. And in fact, there is now an Operation Ouch coronavirus special coming out. So if you've got questions, hopefully that will answer some of them.
Has it been really busy for you? What have you been doing?
Well, it has been very busy. So I've made several films for grown-ups. I mean, I say for grown-ups, like I think kids could watch them as well, but they're aimed at grown-ups. They're on Channel 4, looking at the coronavirus response. We made a film about the lockdown and how the lockdown worked. And then we've made a film about the end of lockdown and how the end of lockdown might work. So that's been very busy. And I've been doing a show on BBC One every morning. So with I do a thing with a guy called Mr. Motivator, who basically makes me look very silly every morning by making me do some dancing. And I'm not a very good dancer, as anyone who watches Operation Ouch will know. So I've been doing a bit of that. But Chris has been, and then I've been ill as well. But Chris has been in the hospital looking after patients. So between us, we're sort of doing quite a lot.
If kids are worried about the virus, do you have any wise words for them?
Yes, I think it's very normal to be worried about the virus, and lots of grown-ups are worried as well. And I would say that the best way of dealing with anything that you're worried about is to talk to someone you trust. So sometimes when we're worried, we think, oh, I'll just worry more if I talk about it, and that'll be really bad. Whether it's you think you've got, I don't know, you think you've got something wrong with your toe, or whether it's you're worried about the state of the world, or you're worried about coronavirus. And so you think, oh, I'll just not say anything and maybe it'll go away. And actually, it's much better. The more you know about a thing, the more in control of it you feel. So knowledge is power. And that's, I think, on Operation Ouch, the thing that we do when we make Operation Ouch is basically try and make the content of the show, the science in it, about at the level of someone who's in their first year at medical school. And then we put a lot of fart jokes in. So we try and give you as much knowledge as possible. And I think that seems to be the best way to do it. So whenever anyone's worried about it, I think ask lots of questions, find out more about it, speak to your grown-ups or people you trust and say, I'm a bit worried about this, what should I do? And usually that will make things feel better.
Is there a new series coming on Operation Ouch soon?
Well, yes and no. We have been trying to make the new series of Operation Ouch. Now, we were meant to be filming in the secret lab this week, but we can't go to the secret lab because of the lockdown. So instead, I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you this. I'm going to tell you, Izzy. I'm going to tell you anyway. We have been filming the secret lab in my kitchen in a very complicated way. So me and Chris are in the kitchen, and we have our director, Jamie, who sits in my shed so that we're far apart. And then all the cameras are remote control. So we just fill the kitchen with cameras that are remote control, and he controls them in my shed. Very hard to film a teleprogram at the moment, but we have been managing to film a little bit. So I think that there won't be any new Operation Ouch for a few months, but there is the coronavirus special, which is going to be on CBBC. It's coming out today, and so yeah, so there's that, and then I think we might put the secret kitchen labs out as soon, but I would think. I don't know. They don't tell me any of like when it goes out on the telly, but I think there might be a bit more Operation Ouch in the next couple of months, maybe. But don't. It's not a promise.
Thanks for joining us today, Dr. Xand. Stay safe. Bye.
You're brilliant. Thank you for having me on the show. Bye.